so much for joining us here at Guam Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense for a press conference to officially announce the Roofing Installation Support Emergency Utilization Program, which we now know as the RISEUP program. Without further ado, I'm going to give the microphone to our Lieutenant Governor, Joshua Tenorio, for opening remarks.
Thank you very much. Hafa to everybody. There are a whole bunch of people in the room that have come from abroad to help us, and I just want to thank them for their continued efforts in getting us back on our feet. Today, what we do know is that almost a third of our island is still waiting to be restored with water. About half of our island residents are still without power, and we know that the power and water utility agencies are working very hard and working their way to try and resume service as much as possible. But we have a portion of our population that have even experienced much more loss and much more hardship than everybody else on the island, that have been able to weather the storm and weather their recovery in an enclosed, secure shelter, a house. Many people don't have a permanent roof over their head. They have some tarps that are maybe leaking. They have been displaced and are living with friends or families, or even worse, some of them in emergency shelters. And so today, our governor is going to be able to talk to us about an innovative program that we're in partnership with the Department of Defense and FEMA to really provide significant help to this most at-risk population on our island. And so I'll pass on the mic to Governor Leon Guerrero.
Thank you very much, Josh. Good morning, and thank you for listening into this press conference. Thank you for the media for your participation in trying to get out the information to our people. You know, information is very calming to our people, and I appreciate the media and radio stations, TV, and social media for doing that. Thank you so much. This is our day 15 of our recovery. We've done response, and now we're gradually going into recovery phase. In day 15 of a major typhoon and devastation to our island and disaster, and where we are now with water and power, I think is quite amazing. And I just want to thank everyone, GWA, GPA, all the government agencies, the Mayor's Council, all our federal family partners, for helping us along the way. FEMA, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Mayor's Council, the military, just a whole slew of really great people that have come out here to help us, including, of course, our very well-friendly family, the American Red Cross. And as we continue to recover and we try to help our people get back to normalcy and try to get to help them with whatever necessary assistance that they have, whether it be to repair their homes, to get back their water, their power, to get back nutrition and so forth, we as a government are right there to help you along the way. I am also very, very honored to launch this RISEUP program, and RISEUP program stands for roofing, installation, support, utilization, emergency, sorry, I flunked spelling, emergency utilization program, and that spells RISEUP. So it really is a description of what Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA and the Mayor's Council is going to be giving to our people, and that is to repair their roofs. And as the Lieutenant Governor has said, we are there for the protection of life and property. And this program is going to be temporarily, it's a program that gives you a roof over your head and I encourage our people to do more permanent repairs to their structures. I encourage people to use FEMA assistance, use SBA loans, use American Red Cross to get to a more permanent solution. These are the quick fixes for now. And I just want to inform the people that Army Corps of Engineer and the CBs are not going to be out there to build your house. They are going to be out there to put your roof back so you are protected from the weather. And so there are some eligibility criteria that they will go over with you. There are some requirements. They need to get right of entry to your homes. And so you need to make sure that you apply at the mayor's office. The mayors are going to be your point of contact for this program. So I encourage especially everybody, but I have done tours and I have seen that the north of our island is the most devastated. So that's probably where they will start. And so as they make their remarks and they make their presentations, I'm sure media is going to have some more questions to ask to be very clear. But I just want to say to the people, they are not there to build your home. They are there to put a roof over your head. And there are some eligibility criteria that you would have to meet. And so please, again, if you need more assistance, make sure you access FEMA. There are disaster recovery centers out there in the island. There's one at GCC, Building E. There's one at CL Taitano in Sinahanya. There's the Dedido Sports Complex. And then there's the Inelahan Community Center. So we have put disaster recovery centers all over the island so it's most accessible to you. And I'll tell you, those people that are processing this are very quick. They're experienced. There are also other services there at our disaster recovery centers. There's the SNAP programs are there. There's mental health programs that are there. There's other medical services that are there. And I'm just very, very appreciative of all this great support and the influx of generosity throughout the nation and throughout our local islands and throughout our regions. You will see GPA crew out there, and they're coming from CNMI, they're coming from Pohnpei, they're coming as far as Washington State. So let's, again, I encourage your patience. I know we're almost there, and you heard John Beneventi that he wants to get 90%, I think, by June 26th. And I'll tell you, the guy's working very hard to get that goal achieved. So let's, again, be patient, be kind to each other, be orderly, be civil, and let's help our neighbors as we do as the island way of Guam. So thank you again, and we'll hear more from the experts on what the program is. Again, RISEUP program.
Thank you so much, Governor, and thank you so much to our Lieutenant Governor. I want to now invite to the microphone Brigadier General Kirk Gibbons from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Thanks so much for having me here today. First, I'd like to start on, as we work with FEMA and the Department of Defense, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, I want to extend my appreciation for the Governor, the government of Guam, and all Guam agencies that we're working with. And I also want to thank FEMA for their partnership and all Department of Defense agencies. As I arrived here last night, I've had numerous people here before the storm. Right now we have 163 folks from the U.S. Army Corps that are here on island, and in excess of 50 people that are providing reach-back support. But I just want to say how I admire the resiliency of Guam and its people in all that they've done so far. As I drove around this morning, really went up to Anderson Air Force Base in the northern part of the island. There's tremendous progress, but it was very obvious that there is much damage and people are hurting. And I'm very sorry about that. We want to help you as quickly as possible, and we're working very hard to do that. The U.S. Army Corps and FEMA's #1 priority is the life, health, safety of the inhabitants of this island. So the Department of Defense and USACE, in partnership with FEMA and Guam Homeland Security and the Mayor's Council of Guam, are launching RISEUP, as you know. I won't repeat what that stands for because you've had that 3 times already. And this is based on metal roofs that were damaged due to Typhoon Mawar. This is one of 8 mission assignments that we have, and this is the one that is the priority now as we launch that today. Our teams have been on the ground for about 2 weeks, and I'm very much looking forward to the questions that you're going to ask, and I've got some experts here to give you as many details. They're more expert than I am on this, but we're honored to be able to do this. They've done ground reconnaissance assessments and flyover assessments as well. And what they found is there are roofs, metal roofs, that need temporary roofing help until more permanent solutions can be achieved. And that's what the Corps of Engineers' job is, to provide temporary roofing for metal roofs where that is needed. There's 3 steps to this process. Number 1, and the governor touched on this, Guam residents will contact their mayor's office to apply, and that is where you file a right of entry, which authorizes us to get on the property and to fix a roof or do an assessment. And that's the second step. Our USACE experts, and I want to highlight 12 to 15 folks from USACE will provide quality assurance and expertise throughout this mission. And they are handpicked from across the nation. Our very, very best that have done this for years, and I would tell you combined probably more than a century of experience with this type of mission. They will assess the roof's damage for eligibility in the program. And then the third piece is our DoD partners will in place a temporary metal roof. There are eligibility pieces. I'll touch on just a couple of those. The dwellings must have disaster-caused roof damage that impacts habitability. There must be approximately 15% of roof substructure that must remain. The tin could be gone, but we need to have the structure there to be able to put the tin on the roof. There's some others as well. The damaged roof must cover indoor living space completely enclosed by walls. And this living space includes facilities for cooking, eating, sleeping, and sanitation. Outdoor kitchens with a damaged roof covering will qualify to the extent that it covers the dwelling's only means of cooking and storing food. Now, you may have many questions, and I look forward to those. I know the press release is going to lay these out as well for you to read from. But in closing, I'll just close by saying that the Department of Defense is committed, and FEMA is committed to being true members of the communities that we're a part of. We're honored to do that. In the good times and the bad, Department of Defense, U.S. Army Corps, our soldiers, sailors, and airmen will continue to work closely with the local and federal partners here so we can rise up and come back from Typhoon Mawar together. Thank you very much. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you so much, sir. I now want to invite to the microphone Admiral Nicholson, Task Force West.
Hafide, thank you. So I represent the Department of Defense home team that's here all the time. And we're being augmented by folks that are coming in to join us here. I want to first say that your team that's here are soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Guardians. They are in the thick of this with you. More than half of our active duty members and their families live off the installations, and the vast majority of our Department of Defense civilians live off the installations. And so they've been hit by Typhoon Mawar just as everyone else has. But they are also, just like many people in the community, they're stepping up to help where they can. We are very, very pleased that FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers has asked us to help out. In addition to having forces come from off the island and join, you will see some of your hometown Navy Seabees, Air Force Red Horse, and Army engineers working alongside additional forces that are coming to the island as part of the RISEUP program. And we're very excited to get out there and be part of this program that's really a safety program that we are assisting with as the labor force to do this, right? So professionally, for the most part, our service members are not carpenters, they're not roofing experts, they do a lot of other things. But they can help out. And we do have some expertise when it comes to our CVs and Red Horse and engineers that know how to swing a hammer, and we're happy to do that and be part of the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Admiral. I'm going to open the floor for questions now from members of our media, but joining our panel to support any questions that may need some answers, we have FEMA's External Affairs Veronica Verde, and we also have Office of Civil Defense Administrator Charles Esteves to provide support. Can we take any questions from any of the members of the media?
Is there a citizenship requirement for at least one member of the household?
There is no citizenship requirement, and getting this service does not impact your ability to receive other financial assistance for your homes and your families. But Troy, the answer is that the pure eligibility qualification is going to be the condition of that house, whether they have the walls and a roof and can support this metal roof.
Could I just also add that there is no cost either to the homeowner? So that was made very clear to us at the briefing yesterday.
So is there an income requirement then?
No, the eligibility is just the home, the degree of the destruction of the home.
Juliana?
Right, so what is your response to some saying that we should have been more prepared in terms of recovery? Even some people saying that it's selected for those who have gotten power or water first.
There is really no selection or of who gets water and power first. And we are as prepared as we best can be for this huge typhoon. Believe me, we were meeting before the disaster. We were meeting after the disaster. We have a daily briefing at 2:00 p.m. where everybody comes to the table and gives us a briefing. I have no control over water and power, you know that, but they have been so cooperative and they are part of our emergency team. There is no selection, Juliana. You know this because John Beneventi gives out the information on how his strategy is and his method, right, of bringing back. He first had to get the main power out. Then he had to get the feeders worked so it can feed to the substations. Then he had to get the substations energized. Then he had to get from the substation feeders to the home. So it's a whole big, very, I think, strategically, methodically well planned. And as he gets all of that intact and going, his report to us is that he has 26 of the 26 substations are up and running. And so now they're in phase 2 where they go in. Now, if you're going to call selection, yes. Hospitals were a criteria priority. Wells were a criteria priority. Clinics were a criteria priority. And as they come down, the crews are meeting, and as they now have assessed the intactness of these distributions, they're powering up. They're powering up as fast as they can. You know, like I said, at day 15, at a 46% of our customer base already having electricity, most of the restaurants, all of Hotel Row is up and running. That's an amazing preparedness plan, an amazing implementation and effectuating plan. So I want to assure the people of Guam that your government has responded as quickly as we can humanly possibly do. There are some things and issues that we are not of control, but we try to control and work those that we can. So there are no selection other than what I said with the priority and the essential needs.
To go back on this program, since the fix is temporary, what kind of actual repairs are going to be taking place? The roofing program.
Well, temporary in that the metal sheets will be placed back on. They'll be secured, and they are not meant to be a permanent fix for years. Now, there's other, and if anyone from FEMA needs to help me out here, There's other individual assistance that can be applied for more permanent solutions in the form of funding or other type of support. Anything to add to that?
Veronica wants to support your
Yes,
answer.
thank you.
All right, great, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Veronica Verde, FEMA. So for that question, just a quick reminder for people to get into this program, please do not register with FEMA. Do not go to the Disaster Recovery Center. Please go to your local mayors. Another reminder is if you're eligible for this program, one of the things, just a reminder, it's not going to affect any of your FEMA assistance. So this is emergency protective measures to try to get people back into their homes, and that's what FEMA focuses on, and what we're going to focus on in coordination with the Department of Defense and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Question for Army Corps of Engineer. Guam Memorial Hospital is also in pretty bad shape. Will you guys be able to address the issue there immediately? They were already up there.
We've been there, we did an assessment to see what needs to be done, what some of the shortcomings are, and we're prepared to support. And I think the governor, she knows what improvements need to be made immediately to ensure that there's no leaks, but we're here to help if needed for any further assessments as well.
Speaking of assistance, can FEMA talk about how many people have applied for individual assistance already, how many have been denied, and what those reasons for denial could be?
So we have close to about 15,000, over 15,000 applications, have provided close to $3.5 million out into the community. So again, just a reminder that people need to register with FEMA at 1-800-621-3362. Go to your local disaster recovery center. We also have disaster survivor assistants that are actually going door to door. They're working closely with the mayors to identify vulnerable populations. Once they register, within 7 to 10 days, there will be a FEMA inspector that will go and look at their losses. And then after that FEMA inspection, within 7 to 10 days, they should be receiving a letter of eligibility. There are many programs within FEMA. We have repair, replacement for their home to help them jumpstart their recovery. There's also rental assistance for those that cannot live in their homes that have been damaged. And there's also other assistance that we have for personal property, perhaps transportation, medical, dental, and funeral.
Do you know the number of people who have been denied assistance?
I do not have that number, but I'll get that number after this for
Maybe
you.
you can just comment on what can lead to denials.
It could very well be insurance, so we do not duplicate benefits. So they could have had enough insurance that might have able to take care of their damage. Second thing is perhaps there's still some documents that they needed to provide to FEMA. They will be getting a letter of eligibility. They should look and read to see what is missing that they still need to provide to FEMA. They can go to the local DRC to help interpret any type of letters that is received by FEMA. So we do want to let folks know if you apply, you have questions, go to our Disaster Recovery Center. We'll help you interpret those letters.
My question is for Admiral Nicholson. Can you talk about the Understanding Air Force base recovery? Is it still in bad shape? How has it been so far?
Well, as the governor said, the northern end of the island took a pretty big hit. I'll tell you a couple of things. The recorded official wind speeds of the storm, as I look at some of the damage and things that should have been able to sustain that, we're seeing damage that's indicative of much, much higher wind speeds. So we've actually been working with the National Weather Service to take a really hard look to try to determine what the actual wind speeds were, because many of the anemometers, the instrument that measures the wind, they stopped working. So I truly believe that we actually encountered some significantly stronger winds than we may have said that was there. That being said, because of that, there's been quite a bit of damage. And there's quite a bit of recovery that has to happen to get things back to where they should be. But even if we have a damage to a building, even if we have a damage to a facility, that doesn't keep us out of the fight. So we are still postured and prepared to defend Guam and the nation, and that's what we do each and every day. And we might have taken a little bit of a hit, but we're back up and we're in our boxer stance and we're ready to go. And so we can still deliver capabilities. We can still do the things that we do each and every day. In addition to that, we can support the FEMA flights coming in, delivering people material. And then in addition to that, we can support doing things in the community when called upon to help out our community here. So I think we're all doing our part. A lot of damage on the bases that we're recovering from. And even down in the south on the naval base, we had quite a bit of problems, damage to our electrical distribution system. So a lot of work that's going on down there to try to bring that up and running. We got a lot of people still running on generators. So, but we don't let that stuff deter us, and we're ready to go. Thanks.
Frank Whitman, Pacific Island Times.
Do you have an estimate of how many people are going to qualify for the RISEUP program?
You know, I think the baseline they're estimating is about 250 homes, but there is further opportunities to grow that number and confirm that number. That estimate was based on some flyovers. I just want to say the governor and I both separately did a flyover of the island. It's very clear that, as she said, a lot of the damage to these residential homes with those wood and tin roofs are up north. And there are going to be homes that are likely not eligible because they were already in a much more deteriorated state. So for that population, I just want to say that Gov Guam, the Office of Homelessness Assistance and Poverty Prevention, the American Red Cross, GURA, we're already engaged in discussions looking for the long-term well-being of families that may not be able to go home as a result of, I think, a program that's going to be successful.
Is there an estimated cost?
There's no cost to the inhabitants of the homes.
What about to you guys?
Okay, do we have a?
I would defer to FEMA.
Well, I will say this, right now, the bill of materials that's coming in, I know we think about 250 maybe on the high end, but there's enough bill of materials in the event that there was double that. I would have to look at what the cost is for that much tin, lumber, screws, and the kinds of bill of materials. And I don't have that right in front of me. I could probably get that to you.
And Frank, to be clear, the Antonov arrived yesterday, and it had much of the tin materials that they'll be using this weekend.
I just want to go back to your original point, right, about preparedness. Remember, it's been about 21 years ago, we had a very, very dangerous and severe super typhoon. After 6 months after another super typhoon, and a few years after a super typhoon. So what you can tell from a lot of the partners from GPA, out of the, I think the number is in the tens of thousands of power poles out there. Over 100 were the ones that went down. So I just wanted to say how important that is, because the amount and length of power restoration could have been much significantly longer had all of the power poles failed. And I want to say that this is one example of how resilient our infrastructure has become, so that the linemen that are out there are not so focused on erecting new concrete power poles. They're actually going and doing some line repairs at a time where, at a much sooner time. So I think a lot of folks, of course, if you don't have power, you don't have water, these kinds of answers are not ever going to meet your satisfaction. You're dealing with a humanitarian issue within your own household. But I have to say that the speed and the focus is very rapid. And the other thing I'd say is Guam Power Authority has technology and understands and knows whose home is on and whose home is off. A lot of people are scared that they're being left out. Maybe they're in neighborhoods where 40 houses are up, but 5 might be down. And yesterday I had the opportunity to go out there and ask that question, and they have demonstrated to me they know where this is, and they are mobilizing resources to get to that stage, to get the utility service back. So I think, after we finish our relief effort here and we start heading into response, there now will be additional opportunities to go and examine infrastructure. One area that was unexpected by GovGuam and by DOD is a situation with telecommunications. Even media communications that we've been so reliant on. How we've known that Technology has improved certain things, but now has also kind of revealed themselves that they need to be looked at. So I see in the near future opportunities for the private sector, GovGuam and DoD to focus on reliable telecommunications that are going to enable the entire response effort to be done in a faster way. I see that, and the other thing I might add is I see also with the planned expansion and construction of military assets throughout the island, there's going to be an opportunity for us to make power and water more resilient for even those villages that are going to be near these assets. I think I see a lot of work that we're going to be doing together to make even more improvements to fortify our infrastructure. I think that's what that everybody is focused on that.
Thank you so much, LT. One more question from John?
Two more questions. I'll ask them both at the same time. Governor, can you provide an update for FEMA assistance for the migrant communities that don't meet the citizenship requirement? And since we're talking about utilities, do you know how long the precautionary boil water notice will remain in effect?
Okay, so everybody's eligible for FEMA and assistance from Red Cross and so forth. There are some U.S. citizenship requirement for some of their programs, but we're working around that and we're helping to get them that help. FEMA's not going to leave anybody behind. That's their whole mission out here, is to help everybody. So migrant workers are eligible for all the service. You're talking about the COFA citizens?
COFA citizens and any others who...
Yeah. So they are eligible. They're eligible. Red Cross has no eligibility. FEMA does have some citizenship eligibility, but we're working around with those issues because we're going to help everyone. As far as the boiling, there's no mandate about boiling. It's a precautionary alert. But I think as the wells continue to get filled and reservoirs continue to get filled, and as the water moves on, I really don't have a date, John, for the boil water precautionary. But certainly, like I said, as those structures and infrastructure get back to normalcy, I'm pretty sure we will be able to do that.
Well, can you just elaborate on the FEMA assistance then? Well, what exactly are you doing at this point to help get them some resources?
For the migrant worker, well, they're out there surveying everybody. They're out there surveying every homes. And as the homes are devastated, the program, as I understand it, and maybe Veronica can give us more details, but there's a program to repair your homes up to $41,000. And then there's a program that if you've lost personal property and so forth, they can also apply for a $41,000, up to $41,000. There's also other individual assistance that FEMA gives to. I don't think those require citizenship, but certainly I do know that the household registered person has to be a U.S. citizen.
Thank you, Governor. So for those that had damages as a result of the typhoon, we do look at those that are U.S. citizens, non-national, and also qualified alien. However, if you have a child that's born in the United States, you can actually use that child's Social Security to actually make a registration. Additionally, we work in coordination with the U.S. American Red Cross and Salvation Army and other voluntary agencies that we've brought here to Guam to try to help those individuals try to recover from this disaster. So again, you can always visit our Disaster Recovery Center. We'll be able to provide you some of those resources. We'll make sure to put you in touch with some of the other voluntary agencies that we've brought here, some that are local and others that are national, so we could try to get assistance to those individuals.
Thank you, Veronica. And thank you to our media partners for joining us today. This will conclude today's press conference. In your